Welcome back to Rise and Thrive, the series where we dive deep into the strategies, frameworks, and mindsets that help Black women lead with authenticity, power, and purpose in corporate spaces. I'm Shay Blackman, and today we're tackling something that might sound simple but requires genuine strategic depth: self-care. Now, before you think this is another wellness YouTube video telling you to light candles and drink tea, it's not. Well, do those things if they work for you, but that's not what we're here to discuss. What we're talking about today is self-care as a professional survival strategy. This is about understanding that for Black women in leadership, self-care is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and frankly, it is an act of strategic intelligence. We're going to explore why this matters specifically for you. We'll break down a framework that actually works, and most importantly, we'll talk about how you implement this starting this week. Because here's the truth: you cannot show up with excellence, power, and authenticity in spaces that weren't designed for your success if you're running on fumes. This is Chapter 7 of Rise and Thrive, a Black woman's blueprint for leadership excellence, and today's discussion is rooted in the wisdom of Audre Lorde, who said, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare." That quote isn't poetic fluff, it's a strategic statement. Let's explore what that means for your career. Here's what I've learned across my 24 plus years in HR leadership across manufacturing, automotive, and healthcare. The highest performing leaders are not the ones who work the hardest. They're the ones who sustain their effort over time. And sustainability requires intentional self-care. Let me reframe this for you, because I know many of you were taught that self-care is selfish, that prioritizing yourself is weakness. That's a lie designed to keep you overextended and undervalued. For Black women specifically, the pressure is intensified. You're managing what researchers call racial battle fatigue, the cumulative impact of navigating spaces that weren't built with you in mind. You're code switching. You're proving your competence repeatedly. You're managing the weight of representation. And if you're not strategic about protecting your energy, burnout isn't just a possibility, it's a timeline. The ROI of self-care in your professional life is measurable. Enhanced decision-making. When you're well-rested, you make better strategic choices, period. Increased creativity. Mental space fuels innovation. Burnout kills creativity. Improved relationships. Emotional regulation strengthens your professional relationships and networks. Greater resilience. Regular renewal builds your capacity to handle challenges. Sustained performance. You prevent the career derailment that comes from burnout. The cost of neglecting self-care: decreased productivity, impaired judgment, strained relationships, health complications, and potentially career derailment. And that's not just about you. When a Black woman leader burns out, it impacts representation, it impacts mentoring, it impacts the entire ecosystem. So when I say self-care is a strategic business imperative for you, I'm not being soft, I'm being practical. You cannot lead at your highest level while running on fumes. That's not noble. That's self-sabotage dressed up as dedication. One of the myths I want to dispel is the idea of work-life balance. That term suggests these two parts of your life exist in perfect, separate equilibrium. That's not realistic, especially for ambitious Black women leaders. What we need instead is work-life integration. This is about creating harmony, spaces where your professional ambitions and personal well-being support each other rather than compete. I've developed a framework for this called Harmony. Let me break down each component. H, honor your rhythms. The reality is that you have natural energy patterns. You have peak performance hours and recovery periods. Most corporate structures ignore this completely. What you need to do: identify when you do your best work. Is it morning? Afternoon? Where does deep thinking happen for you? Then, and this is critical, schedule your most demanding work during those windows. Protect recovery periods. If you know Tuesday afternoons drain you, don't schedule back-to-back meetings then. Respect your body's signals. This isn't indulgence. This is data collection and optimization. A. Align priorities. How many of you are saying yes to things that don't align with your actual values or goals? Most of you. I see it all the time. Part of work-life integration is being clear about what matters to you. Define your non-negotiable personal commitments. Is it family time, creative pursuits, health, spiritual practice? Once you know what matters, integrate those into your calendar with the same respect you give work meetings. And critically, learn to say no to opportunities that pull you away from what's actually important. Saying no is not a lack of ambition, it's strategic resource allocation. R. Ritualize renewal. Renewal doesn't happen accidentally. It requires rituals. These are the non-negotiable practices that keep you grounded. Morning routines that center you before you step into the fray. Even 10 to 15 minutes of meditation, reflection, or intention setting changes your entire day. Midday breaks that refresh you. This might be a walk, a moment of breathing, a meal eaten away from your desk. Notice I said away from your desk. Evening rituals that release work stress. This signals to your mind and body that work is done. Whether that's journaling, movement, time with loved ones, you need a transition. Weekend activities that rejuvenate you. And I mean actual rejuvenation, not productivity-focused hobbies. M. Manage technology. Technology is a tool, but it's also a constant intrusion if you don't set boundaries. Establish email and message windows, not 24/7 availability, windows. Maybe you check email at 9 a.m., noon, and 3 p.m., or maybe work email stops at 6 p.m. You decide. Create phone-free zones, your bedroom, your dinner table, spaces that technology doesn't own. Use auto-responses strategically. I'm focused on Project X and will respond to messages on Thursday at 9 a.m. Set expectations. Protect personal time from intrusion. This is non-negotiable. O. Optimize support. You cannot do this alone. I don't care how strong you are. Strategic leaders build systems. This means delegating effectively at work. What's on your plate that someone else could handle? Delegate it. It means investing in time-saving services when you can. That might be meal prep services, house cleaning, or whatever frees up mental space. Cultivate relationships with people who genuinely support you, not transactional relationships, real ones. Create backup plans for high-stress periods. During budget cycles or peak seasons, who's your support? What practices intensify? N. Nurture joy. This is the one I see Black women skip most often. We're focused on productivity and excellence, but joy feels frivolous. It's not. Joy is fuel. Schedule regular pleasure. This might be art, music, time with friends, hobbies, travel, whatever fills your cup. Celebrate small victories, not just the big promotions, the successful presentation, the difficult conversation handled well, the boundary you set. Create moments of delight in your week. These matter more than you think. Why? Yield to rest. Finally, yield to rest. This means actually taking lunch breaks. I mean sitting down, stepping away from work. Use your vacation time fully, not checking email, not working on just a few things, actual rest. Practice saying, I'm unavailable. Let that sink in. You are allowed to be unavailable. And sleep, real sleep, is a non-negotiable priority, not a luxury, a priority. Your brain, your immune system, your decision-making all depend on it. Now, even with the Harmony framework in place, you'll still encounter challenging situations. That's inevitable in corporate spaces, especially as a Black woman navigating spaces that weren't designed with your success in mind. Self-care isn't just about prevention. It's also about building resilience, the capacity to face challenges and move through them without losing yourself in the process. This is where the SHIELD resilience strategy comes in. This is a framework I've detailed extensively in the SHIELD Resilience Strategy Guide, but let me give you the overview here. S. Self-awareness. Know your triggers. Know when you're stressed. Recognize your early warning signs. How does your body signal stress? Your emotions? Your behavior? Monitor these consistently. H. Healthy coping. Develop responses that actually work. Physical outlets like exercise, dance, or movement. Creative expression through writing or art. Spiritual practices like meditation. Social connection with people you trust. I. Internal resources. Strengthen your foundation. This is about self-compassion, positive self-talk, confidence built through competence, and emotional regulation. These are skills you build through practice. E. External support. Create a robust support system. Professional networks, a personal advisory board, therapy or coaching if needed, and community connections. You cannot do this alone. L. Learning-oriented. Extract wisdom from challenges. Extract wisdom from challenges. View setbacks as data. What can you learn? How will this inform your future approach? This transforms challenges into growth opportunities. D. Daily practices. Build resilience through consistency. Morning mindfulness or intention setting. Regular movement. Gratitude practices. Evening reflection. Small daily practices compound into serious resilience. Maya Angelou said, "You may encounter many defeats, but you must not be defeated." Resilience is built through practice, not perfection. The SHIELD framework is your practice template. Section 4. Boundaries. Your power tool. 4 minutes. For Black women leaders, boundary setting is complicated. We're often socialized to be endlessly available, infinitely accommodating, eternally strong. Yet boundaries are absolutely essential for sustainable leadership. Boundaries aren't walls. They're guardrails. They protect what matters while allowing you to be generous and available in strategic ways. There are 5 types of professional boundaries you need to establish. Time boundaries, work hours limits, meeting availability windows, response time frames, not 24/7, project deadline respect. Emotional boundaries, not absorbing others' stress or emotions, limiting emotional labor, protecting your own feelings, managing your energy investment carefully. Physical boundaries, workspace respect and privacy, your personal space needs, touch preferences, physical comfort requirements. Mental boundaries, cognitive load limits, decision fatigue prevention, mental health protection, your intellectual property and ideas. Role boundaries, clear job description, responsibility limits, authority parameters, expertise boundaries. Here are some boundary setting scripts for common situations. For excessive requests, I'm at capacity with current priorities. Let's discuss what can be deprioritized if this is urgent. For after-hours contact, I maintain work-free evenings for family/personal time. I'll address this first thing tomorrow. For emotional dumping, I want to be supportive, but I'm not equipped to handle this. Have you considered? Give a professional resource? For scope creep, this falls outside our agreed parameters. Let's revisit the project scope and resources needed. Self-care as resistance and strategy isn't new. Black women writers and leaders have been articulating this for decades. Let me share some wisdom that connects directly to what we're discussing today. Audre Lorde wrote extensively about self-care as political warfare. In her essay, A Burst of Light, she documents her cancer journey and positions self-care not as indulgence, but as essential resistance against systems designed to harm Black women. She understood that the personal is political, that caring for your body, your mind, your well-being is a refusal to be destroyed by oppressive systems. Toni Morrison, in her novels and essays, emphasized the importance of self-knowledge and self-definition. She rejected external definitions of what Black women should be or do. That's self-care in the deepest sense, defining yourself rather than allowing others to diminish you. Maya Angelou lived a life of intentional boundaries and renewal. She would take retreats to focus on her writing. She was explicit about protecting her energy and her vision. She understood that leadership requires you to know yourself deeply and protect that knowledge fiercely. These women weren't being soft or self-indulgent. They were modeling strategic power. When you care for yourself intentionally, you're joining a lineage of Black women leaders who refuse to be diminished by systems not built for us. Before we wrap, I want to give you a practical exercise you can do this week. This is going to take about 20 minutes. 1. Step 1. Energy audit. List 3 things that drain your energy and 3 things that replenish you. 2. Step 2. Honest assessment. Where are you currently neglecting self-care? Where's the biggest gap? 3. Step 3. 1. Change. Choose one element from the Harmony framework to implement this week. Not all 7, just one. 4. Step 4. Schedule it. Put it on your calendar. Make it as real as any work meeting. 5. Step 5. Boundary identification. Identify one boundary that, if you set it, would immediately reduce your stress. What's one thing you could say no to? Do this exercise. I want you to actually do it, not just think about it, because implementation is where transformation happens. Here's what I know after 2 decades of working with leaders. The women who advance with their authenticity intact, who maintain their power without burning out, who build legacies instead of just handling crises, they're the ones who treat self-care as a professional strategy, not a luxury. Self-care isn't selfish. It's self-preservation. It's resistance. It's strategic. And for Black women in corporate spaces, it's absolutely essential. Audre Lorde said it perfectly. Caring for myself is not self-indulgence. It is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. So this week, I want you to do something that feels like an act of political warfare. Set a boundary, protect your energy, honor your rhythms, prioritize your well-being. And if you want to go deeper with this work, I've got resources for you. The Shield Resilience Strategy Guide is free and gives you detailed frameworks for building resilience in corporate spaces. The complete chapter from Rise and Thrive, A Black Woman's Blueprint for Leadership Excellence, gives you even more depth, and the book itself has strategies for everything we've discussed today. But here's what matters most. Start with one thing. This week. Not next month, not when things calm down, this week. Drop a comment and tell me, what's one boundary you're ready to set? What's one element of self-care you're committing to this week? Your answer might just spark the next conversation we have on this channel. Don't forget, every Wednesday, we're here diving deep into strategies for Black women leaders. And if you want the same energy around high-value leadership for all leaders, catch the Unlock, Empower, Transform podcast on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for doing this work. And thank you for taking your power back, one intentional act at a time. This is Shay Blackman, and I'll see you next Wednesday.